The year is 2023, and FIFA, in their infinite wisdom, have announced changes for the upcoming World Cup due to take place in 2026, because it's unlike them to make unhinged changes really close to a tournament. They've decided that the only players who are allowed to compete in the tournament are players who have never won a cap for their country. And we're here to follow that story. Me again, just making sweeping changes to major tournaments that, given the way that FIFA behave, don't even really seem that crazy in the grand scheme of things. Get ready for the 300-team World Cup in 2050. Mars has a team, and so does the Golden Swan in World Cup. Can Jeff and his mates make it out of the group stage? But I've always been curious to see, if nations were forced to dive much deeper into their national talent pool, would this create a more even football landscape, or would it remain largely the same, just with different names at the top? Now for this, FIFA have actually implemented two new rules. The first of which, of course, is that every player who has an international cap for their nation has now retired from international football, leaving a brand new crop of players to step forward and play in the World Cup qualifiers. However, once those qualifiers are complete and all the teams are qualified for the tournament, all those new players must now step aside and make way for a third crop of players to take their place in the international tournament. You can see the admin departments in every FA around the entire world catching fire right now because the paperwork is going to be mad. Today we follow the stories of those teams, seeing hopefully brand new heroes emerge for some of them, as well as potentially brand new qualifiers for the big event in 2026. So if that sounds good to you, climb aboard the Chaos Bus and strap yourself in, or just stay where you are, that's fine too. Oh, while we're here, I've got a bit of a bonus one for you today, and I think this one might actually provide the most chaos of all, and that is that I've got another version of the sim where only players from the top 50 FIFA ranked nations, at the time of this recording obviously, have retired from international football, and that for me could provide some of the most bizarre results, I suspect, as they will have lost a lot of good talent. Will they be able to overcome that talent problem and bring some of the other players up, or will it require some very interesting sides doing things on major tournaments? And this is most likely to be the last video I make this year, other than a recap video which I've got for Malta coming out on Sunday, so I just wanted to take this moment to say, firstly, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and also thank you for the support over the course of this year. It's been wild, and I'd never expected it, truthfully. It's been fantastic, so thank you to everyone that's joined over into the channel over that time, over here, and of course on the streams as well. It's just been a mad year, and hopefully FM25, and I keep thinking that the year is FM, hopefully the year of 2024 can be even better. And speaking of that, January will probably be quite light on videos, purely because I'm working on a massive project from pretty much now on that is possibly going to take me the entirety of January, and some of you already know about the Premier League Years project, but that's essentially what it is. That's what I'm going to be doing in January. Long form, basically I'm recreating an episode of Premier League Years in Football Manager. It's going to be an extremely tough thing to do, but I'm hoping it's going to be really, really fun. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Before we begin our journey, we needed a control test to compare our results to. So what I've done is I've set up a simulation that shows all the qualifiers on high detail level, everything set up the exact same way, minus of course the international retirement, so we can get an idea of what a World Cup in 2026 should look like. Now with this being the first 48-team World Cup, there is most likely going to be some new qualifiers already just because of the sheer volume of teams, but that doesn't mean ours won't be weirder. So in the qualifiers for it, well, there's an immediate shock here is that Uruguay actually won the qualifying group in South America, which is still fairly surprising. Good results for them there as well. Ecuador did well, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, the usual sort of suspects. Shout out to Venezuela though for coming 7th, and I believe with the 48-team World Cup that actually does put them into a playoff, so Venezuela might have an outside shot, depending on who they get, at actually playing in a World Cup, which would be dope. Same can't be said for Paraguay, who won 1 of 18 matches. F. In fact, yes, I've just checked, Venezuela are in the World Cup. They beat Suriname, interestingly, in the playoff, and Algeria beat Honduras in there too, so a little bit of a spoiler there, but you know what I mean. In European qualifiers, it seems fairly straightforward. The usual suspects generally qualifying. Norway doing well to get in there as well. Ireland, though, surprisingly not so much that they've qualified, but it's still an impressive feat for them to come second, but also the fact that they nearly won the group. That's very impressive from Ireland, so fair play there. Hungary miss out, Wales miss out fairly comfortably in the end, Scotland miss out again, sadly, Netherlands going through. Any real big surprises? Croatia being third in a group with Bosnia and Poland is a little bit surprising in there, I would say. And Turkey finishing below Georgia, although obviously Georgia would have had Kvaratskhelia. But still, not huge amount of surprises, but obviously this is a normal database, so there wouldn't be too many. Africa seems about the same as always. Egypt doing bits, Senegal doing bits, Nigeria winning their group very comfortably, Cameroon in there as well, Morocco doing nicely, Ivory Coast, of course, Guinea winning a group with Algeria in it. Fair play to Guinea, Tunisia, Mali and Ghana. And as we already would have seen, Algeria actually ended up being the qualified team because they won through the little mini league in the playoff. Asia, again, fairly straightforward. Australia, South Korea winning their groups. Qatar winning theirs as well. Qatar, for me, are one of the nations that could suffer a lot as a result of this type of thing because I feel like their talent pool may not be anywhere near as deep, especially as I believe they have quite a few sort of naturalized players in their squad. So they're one to keep an eye on. And can I just say, Asian qualifying for the World Cup is by far my favorite. The amount of fun that these groups are it's so cool because they have these massive groups, but then the top 2 go through automatically, and then the other 2 here, they go into another group, and I just think that's kind of cool. There's also another group before this. It does take a long time, but it's kind of sick. And then in the 4th round groups, Uzbekistan go through, Syria go through, and then Iraq and Thailand go into the playoff, which was actually won by Iraq, so fair play. And North America was kind of exactly what you'd expect. Panama, Costa Rica, Jamaica. Given that there was no USA, Canada, or Mexico in here, there was going to be a pathway for some extra sides to qualify, and they've done exactly that. Although Suriname, of course, got the playoff, we know that they both got knocked out, sadly, both of these sides. And obviously New Zealand won the OFC ones. Of course they did. Now, in the World Cup itself, the biggest surprise for me just looking through this is Uzbekistan getting out of a group with England and Egypt in it, and Poland as well, but also winning 2 games, beating both Poland and Egypt. The only other thing of note for me here is that Norway came bottom of a group with Brazil, Mali, and Japan in it, and only scored 2 goals. Lost every single match. Considering the squad they would have had, with some of the players in there, that is a surprise. Also, shout out to Nigeria here, scoring 11 times, but somehow only getting 4 points. That's actually kind of wild. They were literally the top scorers in the tournament at this stage, despite coming 3rd in their group. Yeah, they won 6-4, drew 2-2, and lost 4-3. Great time to follow Nigeria, I guess. But in the end, incredibly, England triumphed with a Harry Kane goal in the World Cup final against Germany. So that sort of sets the stage for a control. Let's now switch over to the other version. And in this one, it is all players who have an international cap have been retired, which means it's brand new squads. We'll have a look at some of those squads before we actually, well, I guess, yeah, we might have to look at the squads after the World Cup just so that we don't see any spoilers. We'll look at the qualifiers before we actually look at the main tournament as well, just so we can get an idea of who's actually going to play in it. And if you're wondering how I did the second set of international retirement, because obviously you can't do that with the editor, well, not easily anyway, I made a custom preset in FMRTE, and I was able to target any player with an international cap and then apply a specific setting to them that caused them to retire from international football, which is brilliant. Otherwise, this would not have been possible. I'll put links in the description of the video to both of the databases I'm using for this. One that's got all players that have got caps retired, and one that only has the top 50 in case you want to mess around with those as well. Now then, the one we're on now, this is after the World Cup, but we're obviously going to look at the qualifiers first. And the way I did this is I went in before the World Cup, but didn't actually look at anything, just loaded the database into FMRTE to make my changes, and then sent it straight back out again, simmed through to the end of the World Cup. So nothing from me. Let's go. I guess we'll just go in order across the top, really. So we'll start with Africa. CAF qualifiers, right. Oh, that's the mini league. Well, so we know Mali qualified via the mini league, since that's the one that it displays first. Malawi getting in there too, surprisingly. Right, all groups. Egypt, wow, they won every single game. 38 goals scored. Senegal fairly solidly. I didn't expect a lot of changes to happen in Africa, truthfully, because there's actually some quite large talent pools in a lot of these nations. They seem to have quite a lot of squad depth, generally speaking, and it's quite even once you get to a certain point, and the other nations just simply can't keep up. Nigeria with a good win, Cameroon with a good win, only just beating Cape Verde. This group here is insanely tight. Morocco, Zambia, Congo, and Tanzania, all separated by 4 points. Can we see like a past positions or anything? So they were actually only top from match day 8. And Zambia, oh my days, Zambia only snuck into second, literally on the last day. What about Congo? So they snacked into the third. Wait, hang on a minute. Oh no. Hang on a minute. That means Tanzania were top of this group after 7 matches. I love Tanzania. Good country. National animal is the giraffe. Big fan. They lost 2 positions in the final match day. What was their schedule like? Oh my God. They lost to Niger. So after that win against Eritrea, literally, they lost to Morocco away. They lost to Zambia at home and then lost to Niger on the final match day. That's absolutely heinous. Literally, if they just beat Niger, they get second spot and they go into that playoffs thing, and they probably would have lost there too, but Jesus, I feel so bad for them. Algeria obviously go through. Does that mean they qualify? Oh no, we know Mali qualified, didn't they? And then Algeria. Also, Guinea didn't actually make it even close to getting into the World Cup this time around, despite winning their group easily last time. Tunisia win at a canter. Christ on a bike. Ghana scored 51 goals in 10 games. So Africa's looking fairly similar to last time, although that group there was wild. But it looks like it hasn't affected Africa too much. It certainly will, I suspect, in the top 50 retirement, because almost all of these nations are top 50, as in all the ones that have qualified. Moving over to Asia, it starts with these sort of groups here. So, oh my days, this is what I mean. Qatar go out in, that's the second round in a group with China and India. And yes, big populations, but China and India have never been football powerhouses, have they really? And Qatar have, well, obviously qualified for the World Cup, but they qualified in our control test fairly comfortably as well, and they haven't even made it to this. Bear in mind, there's 4 rounds of qualifying in Asia, and they've not even got out of the second one. Wait, hang on, did they drop points against the Maldives? Well, they lost to China. They drew with the Maldives. That says something. They couldn't even beat the Maldives. We'll have a look at some of the top scorers in qualifying as well, so we can sort of highlight some of the players that have been thrown into their national teams as a result of this. North Korea go through, fair enough. This is fairly standard stuff. I'm not seeing any huge surprises. Turkmenistan, shout out them. Kuwait also qualifying. That was a tight group. And then Palestine actually won a group with Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and Philippines. In the third round, this is the fun group. This group is so much fun. So Australia win it fairly comfortably. Iran, oh damn. Iran get it on goal difference in the end. Fair play. Thailand And Iraq, also qualifying. Kyrgyzstan miss out on goal difference themselves. Kuwait sort of struggle a little bit there. South Korea just clapped that group. My lord. Saudi Arabia seem to have picked it back up again, despite finishing below Palestine in the last round. China and Turkmenistan. But then Turkmenistan, with their hugely negative goal difference, they've surely got one of the lowest ranked teams left in this round. Uzbekistan and Syria doing very well. Japan, surprisingly, only 15 points and finished 9 points off of second place. They've taken a hit. But what about the last round here, the fourth round of qualifying? So Japan do win that, which is expected. Turkmenistan do finish above China in that, though, and do go into the playoff, as Thailand do qualify as well. And in that playoff, it is Turkmenistan. Well, there you go. Turkmenistan. I don't know if there's another playoff that they then go into as a result of this. I think there might be. But needless to say, Turkmenistan give themselves a chance to reach a World Cup. That's fun. Top scorer in Asian qualifying is Deni Juric of, well, he's actually playing for Opatija in Croatia, but he was at Dinamo Zagreb, it feels like, at many points during this qualifier. But that sort of shows you the kind of players that are playing up front for these nations at the moment. Deni Juric is obviously Croatian-Australian, but yeah, he's Australia's leading striker at the moment. He's actually joint top scorer with this chap here, Ibrahim Hassar of Syria, who's got 23 and 28. He's actually, I would say, slightly better. 32-year-old playing for Belgrano in Argentina, but he's getting some nice games on the international level. Just swinging it back to Africa for a second, it was actually Ibrahim Osman that was the top scorer for Ghana in qualifying. He got 14. He's got 27 because of friendlies that would have been played and various other tournaments across that period as well, but that's still an insane amount of goals to score in that period, and he's actually genuinely very good. And he's only 21. This has given him a great chance to shine. Shout out to Victor Boniface, though, who's got 29 in 29 as well. He was another one that hadn't got any caps yet before this as well. So, solid player. In fact, very solid player. Bear in mind, he may have caps in real life now, but according to the FM database, he didn't have caps. So France win their group fairly comfortably, no surprises there. Serbia looks like they miss out on the second place spot. Belgium go through with 28 points. Greece and Bosnia, yeah, if anything, Europe is looking fairly straightforward. Although Georgia doing actually about the same, but they were in a bigger group this time, I think. I guess the lack of Kvaratskhelia certainly helps with that. England won their group. They did drop some points, though. Who did they drop points against in that group? Finland and wow, a couple of 0-0 draws there. They only conceded 2 goals. That's fairly solid. Austria go through, no Croatia in the... Wow, that's a dominant group. Norway win the group with Germany in. Luxembourg with 10 points is actually pretty good. And a 0 goal difference for Luxembourg. Fair play. But Norway winning that group with Germany in, considering they would have lost people like Erling Haaland and Martin Ødegaard, I guess they would have maybe gained people like Sheldrup and potentially Sverre Holseth Nipan. They're quite young. I don't think they've actually got international caps, so they might have been in these squads. Italy doing well, Denmark there. Ireland struggling. Spain and Ukraine. Portugal and Scotland get through. Fair play. Wow, 17 points for Scotland is actually pretty good. Hang on, who did they lose against? Was it it must have been Portugal, right? They lost to Belarus. That means they didn't lose to Portugal. But hey, you can always count on Scotland to Scotland, can't you? Christ. Does that mean they drew a home and away against Portugal? Oh, that sucks, because it means that if Scotland had even drawn against Belarus, they would have won the group with Portugal in it. But no, they had to somehow lose in Minsk. Although the game probably wasn't played in Minsk. Either way, come on, Scotland. And down here, we got Czechia and Czechia winning a group with the Netherlands in it. That's quite a tough group, actually, with Bulgaria and Slovenia as well. Good result for Czechia. It's also just occurred to me the Euros would have happened. We're not really focusing on that, and I didn't even have the detail level turned up, but I want to have a little look and see what actually happened in the Euros, just for the memes, right? Euros. So... do you know what? Suddenly, them being the top of that group with the Netherlands in doesn't seem so weird. Okay, well, I mean, hey, maybe that's a precursor to the World Cup. Can we talk about how Belarus were in the Euros? This must have been due to some, like, Nations League stuff or something, right? That, just wild. Scotland win a group with Portugal in. They actually did it this time. Wow, every team got 4 points, and Scotland did it on goal difference. What a weird game. That was such a weird-ass group. Croatia getting through there, Hungary getting through a group with Northern Ireland in. Sweden actually finished above England in there as well. So where were Czechia then? Czechia came third in their group. They only won 1 match, and that was against Belarus. How did they go and win it? Next round, they knock out Scotland, because of course, the Croatia knock out the Netherlands there as well. Then they got to play against Italy. How are they so good in the knockouts here? England lost to Croatia as well. Semi-final. They beat Croatia in extra time, and then beat France in the final. Ah, we can't see the full match details for it. That sucks. It's because it was such a long time ago, unfortunately, and I don't have the full detail level turned on. Can I at least see their schedule, mate? Like, see the goal scorers or something? So, Vasil Kousay with a brace, and Mick van Buren with a late... Was that a late winner? Oh, no, wait. France were 2-0 up in this game. They were 2-0 up after 20 minutes, and then the Czechs just came roaring back. That's what. They were equalised within 6 minutes, and then Mick van Buren in the 83rd minute. It's got nothing to do with this video, I realise, but that's kind of sick. Potentially a dark horse for the World Cup, perhaps. Who knows? Yeah, that's fairly straightforward, isn't it, really? Actually, maybe not. I'd have thought Costa Rica would have done a lot better in that group. Honduras have walked it. Suriname also do brilliantly. Jamaica do quite well in... That's quite a tough group, actually. This one hit... Wow, that group is so much more difficult than this one. and Haiti do actually manage to sneak through with Suriname as well, is Nigel Robertha, who is the top scorer of DC United with 23 goals for Curaçao over this entire period. Fair play to him, considering they didn't qualify as well. That's a lot of goals. Forgot to do the top scorer in Europe, and it was actually Bartosz Białek of Lech Poznan for Poland with 15 goals. I think he got 14 in qualifying, 1 in a friendly, but 15 and 16 is very solid for the Lech Poznan striker. Good for him, I suppose, but you can sort of see the drop down. That being said, he's still a really good player, but not a huge number of surprises so far. Asia seems to have thrown up a few of them. Africa, it looked like it was about to, but at least the players are doing something, I suppose. Right, what's up next? Oceania. I mean, if this isn't New Zealand, then I don't know what we're doing here. The World Cup qualifiers for OFC actually take place as part of the Nations Cup, and it's not got its own separate thing, but this is it. Yeah, 7-0 over New Caledonia. But the way I'm familiar with this means that New Caledonia would have had to go into a playoff match against somebody. I'm fairly certain that the new rules mean that the second place in OFC gets a playoff game. And I think it might be against a South American team. We'll circle back to that in a minute. The top scorer, though, was actually not a New Zealander. It was Rigi Tugabai, who is actually a grayed out player. No, he's not. Or is he? No, he's not. He's a real player. He was a grayed out player for a second there. No, he is a real player. Plays for Gulf Comora. He's got 8 goals for Papua New Guinea in that period, but wasn't enough to see them through. Okay, just South America left now. Now then, what happened last time? So we had Venezuela on the cusp. I wonder if that could it makes them worse, honestly. Brazil and Argentina and Uruguay and nations like that, they've probably got so much depth of quality that it doesn't matter. If anything, I'd be surprised if they weren't further ahead, truthfully. But I feel like the bottom part might be a bit more squished. So we'll see. South America, CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. Oh my God, Venezuela are through. Venezuela came second. Argentina came 8th! Screw the Venezuela thing. Argentina came 8th in World Cup qualifying. They didn't qualify for the World Cup. That's amazing. Right, we've got to try and pick this apart. Brazil win the group. Expected. What the hell happened to Argentina? 6 wins in 18 matches. And didn't Paraguay come bottom in the other test? So Paraguay qualify, but Venezuela came second. That's absolutely absurd. Ecuador doing very well as well. Chile miss out maybe. I think there's a playoff for that though. But Argentina miss out on it entirely with a -3 goal difference. Top scorer in South American World Cup qualifying is Alvaro Rodriguez of Real Madrid. So they've got some quality in there, admittedly. Joint with Jonathan Agudelo of Fortaleza. Well, they start back in 2023. So they lose to Brazil at home, which is a shock, but then lose to Paraguay as well. Then beat Peru 7-0. Then lose to Uruguay 3-0. Then lose to Chile. Then beat Bolivia, fair enough. Draw with Uruguay, beat Paraguay. So they sort of pull it back a little bit there. Then beat Ecuador. Okay, then they start to get back. Then they lose to Ecuador. Lose at home to Venezuela. Draw with Paraguay, draw with Brazil, lose to Peru, lose to Uruguay. Then there's a 3-match winning run here. Hang on, how far off the pace were they going into that 3-game stretch? And then they lose to Ecuador and then draw with Venezuela. That's wild. Right, let's hit the World Cup playoffs because that's sort of the final bastion, innit? So, New Caledonia beats Haiti. That's insane. Can we see? Oh, it's not going to let me, is it? Oh, it is. It is going to let us. Nice. Vidane Oliver with a hat-trick against Haiti. That might be the biggest result in New Caledonia's history. Haiti aren't like a muggy nation by any means as far as on the international level. Very even game. If anything, they were perhaps a bit fortunate. An 87th minute winner to send them through. That means they played in the final of this. That's mad. And what about the other one? Costa Rica beat Turkmenistan. Yeah, I thought there was another one. The fact that Mr. Oliver hasn't scored another goal indicates to me that... Wait, they play Costa Rica in the final. Or do they get South American teams in here? I think that that's how it works. I'm fairly certain that there's teams that get a bye to the final. Let's see. Final. Costa Rica... Yeah, Mali goes... Well, an extra... Wait a second. They lost 3-0. That's not the story. They lost 3-0 in extra time, which means New Caledonia, over 90 minutes, kept a clean sheet against Mali. Oh, imagine if New Caledonia had qualified for the World Cup. I reckon it was that injury there. Guy-Eric Waheo. If they hadn't have had that injury, I reckon they would have won. Copium. And then Chile, oh God, imagine if Chile had drawn New Caledonia. That could have been a bloodbath, although maybe not. But shout out New Caledonia. I just had a look at the other version of the database. Fiji were the representative on the control version, then they got humped 7-0. Right, to the actual World Cup then. I'm going to try and do this so that you don't see anything, and I'll try not to. Groups. Ukraine win a group with USA and Chile. All right, fair enough. That seems fairly straightforward. South Korea, wow, Romania with a great group win there. Fair play. Scotland do qualify for the next round. Who was they winning against? Presumably Mali, right? Yep, 3-0 against Mali. Nice. England do England things. Spain, Senegal, Paraguay, Italy, Australia. Where's my Venezuelan boys, is my question. How do they get on? Oh, right. Disappoint. It's just kind of sad, isn't it? It's not throwing up too many differences here, if I'm honest with you. Like, it's looking fairly straightforward at this point. Austria winning a group with Portugal and actually scoring 11 goals in that period for Austria is pretty good as well. Venezuela did get a win, 3-0 against Suriname, but they must have lost the other 2 games. Yeah, 4-0 and 2-0. They just couldn't do it on the big stage. So Senegal knock out Colombia. Fair play. Paraguay through as well. South Korea take the United States out. England beat Australia. That's likely to happen. Portugal through, France through, Czechia through. Hey, European champions Czechia. Put some respect on their name. Ecuador knock out Sweden, Germany through. Fair enough. And then Austria knock out Japan 3-0. All right. Italy through. Senegal through again. Nice. England through, Spain. Czechia knock out Brazil on penalties. Greatest team in the world, Czechia. What's going on here? France knock out Portugal. Austria beat Ecuador. That's quite an easy draw, I suppose. Although Ecuador are pretty decent. Germany not a bad result either. The quarterfinals. There's some interesting sides in here still. Italy knock out Spain. England finally beat Senegal. Czechia finally meet their maker. And it's Germany, apparently. As Austria knock out France. Unahan Babushku with the winning. What a dreadful match of football that was. But Austria into the semi-finals. So who were the semi-finals for? Oh my God. Austria beat Italy. That's insane. And actually, they deserved it. That's not even like a joke there. They deserved that. Austria to the World Cup final. Jonathan Scherzer, Lucas Friedrichs, and of course, Onahan Babushku, who apparently has made a habit of scoring a few of these goals now. Who is this chap here? Plays for Gaziantep. And he's got 7 goals in 9 caps for Austria. So obviously he would have been part of the third string of guys that would have replaced the original chaps. So to get 7, does that mean he scored 7 goals in the World Cup? No. He must have got like some goals in friendlies beforehand. And then England beat Germany, which means it's an Austria-England final. Wow, do England win both of these World Cups? Of course they do. So England lose to Germany beat Germany in the original one, and they've just... Austria have won the World Cup on penalties, admittedly. And no way! And look at the England squad. I mean, we'll have a closer look at that in a minute, but you can see that England squad is what took them into this World Cup. Etienne Green in goal, who I believe does play for Saint Etienne, which is kind of dope. Matt O'Reilly in the midfield, former Fulham player. That's almost like all I can say there. But look at it. It was Onahan Babushku again. 92nd minute equaliser in the World Cup final. And then they go and win it on penalties. Did he score a penalty as well? Bet he had the balls to step up. Oh, he didn't. He was like, I've done my job. No need. What a result. So Austria win the World Cup with their third string set of players, which is crazy. So who did England have? Luis Binks, Jacob Greaves, Matt O'Reilly, Adam Wharton, who I think plays for Blackburn, Amario Cozier-Dubry, Todd Cantwell in there with Ryan Kent, Keenan Davis. Didn't he just play for Villa? Yeah. He's at Udinese now. Okay. But first, let's just have a look at the top scorers of the World Cup. Oh, no, it actually is him. No way. Yeah. So all 7 of those goals were in the World Cup. Onahan Babushku, 7 goals in the World Cup. Is he even a striker? No, he's not. He's not even a striker. He's literally an attacking midfielder. No, we can have a look if he's played at striker. Nope. Although this screen might be balked, in fairness. So he might have played at striker, but I don't think he would have done, honestly. That's kind of crazy. An attacking midfielder scores 7 goals for Austria on the way to a World Cup win. Also, Evan Guesson, or Guisson, scores 7 and 7 for France as well, the niche strikers. So France still had some solid players in here, let's be clear. Right, let's have a look at some squads. Just have a look at what kind of squads these nations actually lined up with here. So I'll just sort it by club so you can see. James McAtee doesn't even have a club. Todd Cantwell in there, plays for Al Fatah. A couple of Arsenal players in there, youngsters as well. There's Max Aarons of Bournemouth in there. It took him a while to get that call up there. Matt O'Reilly of Celtic. A couple of Chelsea guys. Noni Madueke was in there. Joe Bursick of Club Brugge. A couple of Fulham players. You love to see it. Jonathan Panzo at J Stansfield. Oh, Adam would be proud. Got 4 goals for England as well. Yeah, so some of these must have been friendlies. And yeah, Etienne Green of Saint Etienne. A couple of Sunderland players in there as well. Dane Scarlett of Spurs. Not a single Manchester United or Manchester City player in the squad. Or Liverpool. Oh no, there is one Liverpool. Tyler Morton. Just a bit further down, you can sort of see that the same kind of applies to France. No PSG players, for example, in the squad. I mean, that should tell you everything. Not a single PSG player in the France national team is wild. I'm sure you guys will know a lot more about some of these players than potentially I do. Ludovic Ayorke, though, did get himself an international... Oh no, he didn't! He still couldn't get a cap, bless him. Germany's team still had one Bayern player in there, so they've managed to sneak a Bayern player. Lots of Hoffenheim, holy lord. Hoffenheim and Köln absolutely carrying this national team. Fiorentina were really dominant in the Italy one. Only 2 Juve players in there, and another guy without a club. Now, admittedly, it's because it's July, so it's just ticked over, and it might just be because of the way I've set the database up that they may not have found clubs, because we're running a massive database, but with not many leagues turned on, so there's lots of players to make sure that they all spawn in so that we could get the depth, but not actually that many clubs. Yeah, Norway resorted to calling up Eric Kitolano, who again is without a club. He's the former Tromsø player. Still quite a few sporting players in there, but a real distinct lack of... In fact, there's no Porto there's a couple of Benfica players, but no Porto lads at all. Ed McGinty. Wait a minute. Ed McGinty. Oh, he didn't get any caps, but Ed McGinty's a goalkeeper that I signed on my Treaty United save a couple of years ago. There always used to be one dude that doesn't have a club in all of these. Any Real Madrid... Wow, no Real Madrid players in the entire squad. Only one... Well, technically 2, I suppose, because I think he's at Barca's B side there, potentially. But still, out of all of this, I think that the 2 things in South America, Argentina failing to qualify somehow, and Venezuela not only qualifying, but coming second, might be the 2 biggest shocks, obviously with Czechia winning the Euros and Austria winning the World Cup. But I think that kind of wraps up what we've got for this one. However, I think, truthfully, the biggest surprises are yet to come, because I think the one with the 50 nations taking out their best players potentially could provide the most upsets, because they're going to have to rely on a lot less. That's a lot of players they're going to lose. I'm really excited about this one particularly, just because when I was doing the first stuff, I was thinking to myself, this could end up just evening things out quite a lot, but not really, because everyone's going to lose good players. So it's kind of just going to bring the talent level down. Whereas this one for me is actually going to even things up a little bit. And I reckon like 50 to 60, those nations in the 50 to 60 range could really benefit from this. So let's start with Africa qualifiers. Well, we're going to see the playoff mini league first straight off the bat anyway. So same kind of teams in this one looking, but South Africa qualified for it, fair enough. Angola win it and do actually qualify overall, which we can see from this now. Okay, what about the main groups though? Right, now we're talking. Now we're bloody talking. Burkina Faso, greatest team in all of the world, as I've always said, win their World Cup group qualifying, with Egypt only coming third. Bear in mind, Egypt won every single match in our original World Cup qualifiers. They did still win 6 games, but not enough to do anything but come third. And Burkina Faso, 25 points, much more like it. Also, Togo, back in the World Cup for the first time since the Adebayor era. That's absolutely spectacular from them to finish above Senegal, who don't qualify at all, and Dr. Congo. Brilliant scenes. Nigeria still are just Nigeria and are unbelievably good. As for Group 4, Cape Verde qualify as winners, which Cape Verde reached their first ever World Cup. Cameroon come 4th, below Libya in that group. That's surprising to me. I thought that they might, because Cape Verde possibly outside the top 50, which might have helped them. And I think Angola actually aren't. Oh no, they are, because of the World Cup video we did last year. Morocco win their group. It seems that even with this version, Tanzania did even worse. Despite the fact that I'm fairly certain Morocco and Zambia are top 50, or at least Morocco are. Okay, Zambia aren't. So it would have been Morocco. But oh, damn! That's not even the story. I just scrolled down way too far at the same time. Ivory Coast qualified, no problem there. Algeria qualified. Liberia qualified for the World Cup. Tunisia came 3rd in that group. They absolutely... That's not even a difficult group. Like, some of these ones, you could argue there's some quite difficult sides in it. This one, there wasn't. But I suppose with every other nation in this group would have been full strength, I suppose, and Tunisia would have been hit hard. Yeah, they're 31st. They would have been decimated, their squad. And Liberia, out of all of that, qualify for the World Cup. Mali also get through ahead of Ghana, but my God, Liberia in the World Cup. Turns out this was the play all along. It's worth noting for this version, the teams that qualify for the World Cup only lost their players once. They didn't lose them again before the World Cup. And it gives me hope about what's about to happen in Europe especially. But we'll start with Asia first. Right, so second round. Saudi Arabia and Thailand. I didn't expect many changes at this level because the quality gap is still fairly large, I would say. Although North Korea, that's a tough group. Palestine do qualify. Qatar do get through this time. Okay. Kyrgyzstan and Kuwait go through. South Korea do still qualify. Japan don't. Japan get knocked out in a group with Kyrgyzstan and Kuwait. They fail to get out of the second round of qualifiers. Thailand and the UAE into the World Cup. Australia go into the playoffs with China. Kyrgyzstan win their qualifying group. Get in the Kyrgyzstanis. Iran get through there as well. Iraq and South Korea go through. Uzbekistan and Saudi Arabia. Syria and Qatar. So not as many surprises actually in Asia. I truthfully thought there would be more because there's still a decent number of teams that... And maybe there's just a few less teams that were actually top 50 in the Asian region, and that's why it's affected it a bit less. Japan, South Korea, Australia obviously all were, as has been shown up here. Now, did South Korea and Australia actually get to the World Cup? South Korea do, Australia do, China and Qatar into the playoffs, so they did manage to get there in the end. And then in the playoff, Qatar win it 4-0 over China. Wow, Asia for once really not delivering. Based on everything we've just seen, I expect Europe to be crazy, but part of me wonders if it just won't because reasons. Oh no, it is. To an extent, anyway. Whoa. Okay, Scotland won their group, but obviously it's a different group from the last time around, but they did win it very easily with no defeats. But Scotland, were they top 50? They were. So that actually didn't really affect Scotland in any way. Fair play. I'm almost certain that Scotland weren't top... Now, that's obviously the FIFA rankings in the game. I can't remember if Scotland were top 50 in real life right now, so that might be why they didn't get affected by it. But I think they were. Italy and Poland still do qualify, though. England get through their group, but North Macedonia coming second. Fair play. Slovenia do get through with a group with Germany. Sweden come 4th in that group. Ukraine and Bosnia get through. Netherlands come 4th. I don't want to scroll down too far because I'll reveal some other things, but Netherlands come 4th in their group with Ukraine, Bosnia, and Romania in it. In fact, I might just do it differently. I might just go to Group F like this now. Austria and Bulgaria through. Croatia miss out. That seems to be a theme, unfortunately. But Austria, World Cup, can they do it again? Spain do win. Norway, wow. Georgia nearly, well, they wouldn't have qualified because, obviously, but that's pretty close. Spain's still very good. Actually, I say good. They're not really, are they? 14 points is not a lot of points in a World Cup qualifying group. Who do they lose to? They lost to both Norway and Denmark and drew with Georgia home and away. So it definitely weakened Spain, but not enough to not see them qualify. Group H, Ireland win the group. 22 points. This time Belgium could do nothing about it, and they do qualify for the World Cup. Again, nice. Hungary were very bad. Bottom of the group. France win fairly comfortable. Don't even concede a goal. Wow. That's just straightforward as hell, isn't it? What about Czechia? We haven't seen them yet. They still qualify. Portugal do go through. Czechia go through with them as well. But it didn't really cause any of the major teams to fall off entirely. They would have still had some solid teams, unfortunately. Europe's been a bit of a letdown, but I'm hoping that elsewhere we can make up for it, because Africa's been a hoot. And we've still got all of these to go. South America, watch Argentina win the whole thing now. North America, I don't think there's going to be any changes here. Yeah, Jamaica win their group. Suriname win theirs with Haiti just behind them. St. Lucia! Up the St. Lucians! That's the second time they've qualified for a World Cup in one of my videos. I'm fairly certain during the Aaron Walker agent video, I think it was that, randomly I saw a news article about St. Lucia qualifying for the World Cup. Well, they've done it again, my friends. That's impressive, actually. That's not an easy group. But of course, I don't think any of these nations were actually... That's even more surprising, actually, considering that I don't think any of these nations would have been affected by it at all. I think they were all outside the top 50. So St. Lucia have just gone, you know what? Yeah, we'll have this. No, Costa Rica may well have been affected by it, which might explain their drop-off. Either way, St. Lucia being there, fantastic. We've already had more random stuff happen in these half than we have in the other one, I think. But now, Oceania, I mean, it's still going to be New Zealand, isn't it? Because they weren't even top 50 anyway, so this is not going to be any different. They did take a draw with the Solomon Islands, but yes, New Zealand did qualify. Chris Wood scored 13 goals in the World Cup qualifiers. There's not even that many of them, to the surprise of nobody. But did they get through the... I bet they didn't. They would have got absolutely humped. Right, South America, let's go. And Venezuela come bottom. Really? Wait, did Venezuela... Oh, I think Venezuela are top 50. In fact, I think all of these guys might be top 50. So it made up 48 points for Brazil in World Cup qualifying is absolutely unhinged. They would have lost a lot of players, but apparently just didn't affect them. Ironically, after all that, João Pedro was their top scorer. Well, not technically the top scorer, I think. It's just that he's the top scorer in the current squad. The actual top scorer was, despite all of those goals, Alvaro Rodriguez, who did really well last time as well. I think he was top scorer in both, in fact. But Peru did get to the World Cup. Wow, that was actually... Chile coming 9th too. It feels to me like the biggest nations didn't suffer from it particularly badly, but the nations that were sort of on the cusp but were also top 50, like your Chiles, your Venezuelas, your Ecuadors, they suffered massively, and it allowed teams that were outside of the top 50 potentially, like Bolivia and possibly Paraguay, although Paraguay might have started... Yeah, I think they do start outside it potentially. It might have allowed them to actually sneak up and in there. It's a shame for Venezuela though. I have my heart set on them, which leaves only the playoffs. And Honduras beat Angola, and Bolivia beat Qatar, only 1-0. But what about the previous round of playoffs? We just saw it in there. So Bolivia beat Haiti. Solomon Islands lost 4-0 to Angola. Hey, you know, I bet there was no extra time here, was there? Oh, no. No. Benny Mukendi. Yeah, he's done all right. So let's go to this World Cup now and start from, well, I guess Group A. Managed to find a cheeky way of getting to the World Cup without seeing anything. I went to the Brazilian national team page, clicked on the group at the top, and then just scrolled up really quickly. So that's good. So USA win their group, and Togo qualify. Uruguay, so this is the thing. Once they get to the World Cup, all of a sudden their squads are much weaker by comparison. So Uruguay, bottom of the group. Togo qualify for the next round with the USA. You love to see it. Group B, Austria and Canada go through. Kyrgyzstan, bottom of the group, but they did win. Who did they beat? They beat Canada. Cape Verde also get through to the next round, but Austria, telling you, they're looking good again. Group C, Mexico and Burkina Faso go through along with Ukraine. Bolivia, bottom of the group, as we kind of expected, but Burkina Faso doing bits. Argentina win the group very comfortably. Bulgaria go through ahead of Australia, who do still qualify. Jamaica sadly go out. Group E, Mali win the group. France only sneak through in 3rd place. Mali win that group. That's amazing. Slovenia also going through ahead of them. Group F, Spain and Morocco. Well, Spain are just really good. Wow, 4 goals in 3 matches to win all of them. Did we check on the Euros? I'm not sure we did we? Screw it. Pause it here. We're going to just check the Euros. Boring. Literally, Spain just win the Euros. Germany win the group with Hungary. Albania win a group. Won all 3 matches, in fact, somehow. Check your bottom of the group. Oh, not so good here, though, are they? England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland in the same group, and all 3 of them qualified. You love to see it. Germany knock out Slovenia. It's like Spain just became good again all of a sudden. France were out very quickly, and they deserve to be, clearly. And it was just Italy, Ukraine, Spain, and the Netherlands. Wow. Ukraine knocked out by Italy, Spain beat the Netherlands, and it was just an Italy-Spain final. How very dull. As Paraguay and Suriname, Belgium bottom of the group. Paraguay, Suriname, and Nigeria all get out of that group. Wow, it really has hit the European teams hard. Brazil, oh, okay, but it hasn't hit Brazil, apparently. Scotland do go through still. Fair play. Ireland top the group with Portugal, Algeria, and New Zealand. Ireland win literally 3 out of 3 and score 9 goals. They beat 6-2 against Algeria. 1-0 against Portugal, 2-0 against New Zealand. Love that for them. England still win their group. They had St. Lucia in the group, which is always going to help. But South Korea don't get through. 5-1, 4-0, 4-0. Not as bad as I would have expected, but I guess all 3 of these teams would have been hit hard by it. Like, if you look at this England squad, you can see obviously it's nowhere near as weak as it was in the previous one, because this is the second. These are the teams that would have qualified. So you've got your Eddie Nketiahs, Harvey Elliott's, players like that in there. I mean, it's still nothing compared to the real England squad, but it's a lot better. Got Rico Henry. I assume Rico Lewis is in there as well. Yes, he is. Italy do still qualify out of their group with Peru. Liberia in their first ever World Cup. They get a draw. Was it against Iran? Yes, it was. Ah, no, that's just a relatively straightforward group that Honduras do get out of. All right. To the second round, Burkina Faso beat the United States 4-1. Bulgaria takes Slovenia out. Austria knock out France. They're on again. Togo beat Canada there through. Thailand through. Mali through. Argentina beat Morocco. Portugal narrowly beat Paraguay. Brazil are through, though. Germany beat Ukraine. Suriname knock out Scotland. Oh, as Ireland beat Cape Verde. Italy through. England through against Honduras. Burkina Faso do finally come to an end, but round of 16 is very impressive. Bulgaria go out to Austria. The machine continues. Argentina beat Togo. Thailand through again. Portugal knock out Germany. That's big as Colombia take out Brazil. England beats Suriname. Imagine England drawing Suriname in the round of 16 as Italy knock out Ireland. Quarterfinals, Spain finally knock out Thailand as Austria finally go out. And somehow you end up with Spain, Argentina, England, and Italy. How could you? Argentina beat Italy. Spain beat England. Wait, it hasn't happened yet? Oh, it's not happened yet. The final hasn't actually happened. Okay, well, I guess we're going to find out today. Trust me to sim to the wrong day. Right, Spain, Argentina are in the final, and Argentina win it. Sebastian Druisi with the goal. So who actually played in this final? What the hell is... Yeah, cheers FM. That's just what I wanted. What the What is that? So apparently we can't look at the match because the game's like, no, you definitely want to watch Solomon Islands, Angola. Right, let me just go an extra day, see if we can find the match. There we go. I think it's because we did it on the match day. I found out that happens often. I've only ever seen that happen in matches that you played in. But there you go. They did win it in the end. It's kind of like when you do your shopping online and they're like, well, we've not got any toilet paper, but we've substituted it with chocolate bars. So it's not quite what I was looking for there. Yeah, that was an absolute dominant performance from Argentina with goals from Sebastian Druisi, Thomas Pozzo, and Luca Langdoni. Very interesting to me that Argentina did much worse in the version when everybody was bad than they did in the version when only they were bad. Out of interest, top scorer in the World Cup was Vitinha of Inter, who... he's a very good footballer. Well, there we have it. What would happen if all the players with international caps decided to retire from international football in various different things? Thank you for all the support this year. I've had a really fun year, and I hope you guys have too following the journey. Lots more stuff coming up in FN24. Obviously, there's a Malta recap coming up in a few days as well. We're doing a Christmas quiz as well on Sunday, which is going to be really, really fun indeed. So yes, thank you for joining me today. Hope you've had a good time. I have. If you have, drop a like. If you haven't, then I guess don't. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, stream on Twitch, you know all the drill, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Hold your gun, capybara, bye-bye.